All right. Good evening, everybody. Whoa, okay, okay.
Okay.
All right. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Amenze, good to see you.
Same here, sir. Been a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. It's nice to have you here. So I think we'll just go straight ahead. I just want to welcome everybody. I can see quite a number of people are here. So today we are doing we have to do this very quickly. I know I promised that for the Amazing Life series, we're going to be doing monthly events, but something came up and this had to come. So let me just give you a quick background. So because we are here to learn. So this started as a discussion basically on Twitter. A friend of mine, I want to believe he's up now. Okay, let me find him. He's not up yet. His name is Biodun, goes by the name Masquerade, and he was mentioning something about how that he's in UK, but from what he's seen there, he's seen a lot of things happening with people from a particular tribe, from a particular race, and then he was mentioning the fact that in the next 50 years, that particular race is going to dominate everything in UK. And then we got talking, and it came down to the idea of, look, there is something, there is a we versus me idea. And that's what we're here to explore, because personally, I believe strongly that there's something about the Nigerian. Like I did in one of the posts. If you go to a country and you don't meet a Nigerian, there's something wrong with that country. There's something about us as Nigerians. We go everywhere. And we do all kinds of great things. But the question I was asking, I was discussing with my wife, and I know some of us here, we have that. For some of us, our grandparents started in UK, did a lot of stuff. But how is it that today, we're not saying that Nigerians are the ones that are going to take over those places, but it's actually these other people. So we're here to learn. What are the things that we can do as Nigerians, to particularly those of us in the diaspora community, and those of us who are planning to japa also, because yes, I know some of us here listening are planning to japa. Is like that. We can't escape it. But the question is this: do you want to go there and just be a wandering generality, or you want to be a meaningful specific? Do you want to go there and become a voice? Do you want to become a voice where, so that when you get there, you open the door for others, or when you get there, you lock the door, shut the door, throw the key into one river and say, no, I'm the biggest person in my own village? But no, there are ways, there are ideologies, there are communities globally that prove. In fact, let me just say here, the Asians, they do these things. They get to a place, they dominate. But Nigerians, it seems that, fine, we are getting, but we are still not there. And I know that Praise Fowowe, I've learned a lot from him. A lot of us have learned, but there are things he has taught, and there are things that he has taught that if we implement those things, I can bet you in the next 50 or 100 years, we'll take over everywhere. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a clap, wherever you are. Let's welcome, our own leading family life therapist, the boss of bosses, Praise Fowowe.
Thank you very much, Amaze. It's so good to be here. Thanks so much for all you do. You and your brother, you keep shaking the tables, raising the bar. Thanks so much for all you do. I'm so excited to be here, and I will believe that we're going to have fantastic conversation, that I think that we move beyond conversations to systems implementation. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. So like I mentioned earlier, I plugged into that conversation, and the question I want to ask, let me even put it how he said it. The guy says in UK, he said Nigerians come to the UK, they are doing their masters, and everybody's don't copy my homework, don't copy my homework. But Indians stay together. They live in the same building. They stay together in one building, and then they work as a community. They are doing they are doing coaching together. They are staying together. They are coaching together. Interestingly, somebody else in the USA mentioned the same thing to me. So I don't know, sir. What's the challenge? What are the issues? What do you think we can do to stop all these things?
The first thing is not what we can do. The first thing is who are we? So Indians exist from the system's point of view to say, who is an Indian? You know who an Indian is. If you go to India, everybody knows the 4 cardinals of what makes India India. And one of the most fundamentals of what makes Indians India is a concept called fraternity, which is brotherhood. It's a national policy. It's a national ideology. What that means is the only place Indians compete against themselves is within India. Once Indians step out of India, the goal is to extend the frontiers of India to the rest of the world. So they became a people who sat back to say, hey, we have a population that is close to 1 billion, just like in China did many years ago, to say, how come we're lagging behind and people don't even have as much as what we have are ruling over us? So they formulated that policy and they began to push it. Now, when you sit with an Indian, you hear them call uncle, uncle. They are not related. Uncle is a password that means we are one, and you need to open the door for me. So about last year, we were trying to move house in Canada. So I left the United States and I went to Canada, and we're trying to, we must have gone through over 50 houses. We did not meet a single house that was owned by an African. All the houses we sampled out were owned by Chinese, Indians, and Jews. Now, there was a particular house that fascinated me. That particular house, we met 11 families living there. They were moving out. In fact, for the first time in my life, I saw sitting room with bed. There were beds in the sitting room, right? So there was nothing called sitting room. Sitting room was converted to rooms, and these guys, even the basement was, they were Indians. So I wanted to know what was going on, and they said that when they came, they all had to come together. Instead of each person renting a house and paying $2,700, which is like the average house rent, over there in Brampton, so that they all came together as a family, as different families. What that meant is instead of paying 2,700, each family paid like maybe 100 or 150, $170 kind of thing, right? And so they would pay utility bills together. And while each person went out, they came back with ideas of what they were observing, what they were finding, what the Indian communities were doing. So they were able to collaborate and say, okay, we have 11 families. We'll first collaborate to buy this house for this family. We'll buy houses. So at the time they were moving, I think each family had owned like 3 houses, I think. And that was why they were moving out, because then each person could stand on their own. But the interesting thing is they were not living to go and stand on their own. They were living to go and warehouse the next generation of Indians who were coming in, right? And they will replicate the model, right? So you can see that model. Now, I'll share another model with you. One of my friends bought a house, was going to buy a house in Canada, and the house was going for like $1.2 million. Now, the lady selling the house to him was a 23-year-old lady who was a Jew. Now, so my friend, out of curiosity, wanted to know, how did she get that kind of money to be able to afford that house at 23 and to be able to sell it? Then she said something that I never forgot. She said that when in the Jewish community, when a child is born, the grandfather took insurance policy for the grandchild, pays the premium for 18 years, and on your 18th birthday, the money is handed over to you. Now, that is what we quote as a good man leaves inheritance for his children's children. They don't quote it. They have implemented it as a system. So nobody is handing poverty over to you. Imagine at 18, your child already has like $2.something million, so, and that child is actually raised to manage wealth. Now, there is nothing like that technically for us as Africans. Now, there is something about it. So we've been scripted and wired to fail unconsciously. The people that did it they were not wicked. They also didn't know better. So see how we pray. This week is your week. It's not this week is our week. See our testimonial, right? Our testimonies is, God prospered me. It's not God prospered us. So I do not care what happens to Amenze as far as I'm good. I got to the US on O1 visa. Since I got to the US on my O1 visa, I shared with a couple of my friends, at least 7 of them have now joined, because, I found it first, then I showed them how it works, so everyone started working on it. I opened up all the networks I have to them. So you realize that if we don't begin to raise a new generation of ancestors who do not crave worship, because there's something about the black man, and I'm using black man intentionally, the African. See Black Lives Matters movement right now, you can see the scandal, of how the money realized. Some people use it to buy a house, and funny. That's unfortunately what we have done over time, right? That we have been scripted in a way that see our educational system. We worship first position, right? We don't care what happens to last position. Even when the person in last position is the one who represents school in sport, so which means his intelligence may not be found within the ambit of maths, English, and science, is found in sport, right? But when they fail, what do? Instead of us to ask the teacher who taught him, how come you couldn't teach this child to pass? The same teacher who produced that child brought the child forward and asked them to sing. If you are Yoruba, they will say, Olodorabata, Ojueda, they will say, shame you. So we were scripted not to be very open, because the consequence for opening up your ignorance is shame. So consistently, our religion is built on it. Our governance system is built on it. So look at Nigeria. Is Baba Sokwe kind of syndrome, right? You couldn't argue with somebody, no matter how your intelligence, there are positions you will never get to, because someone determines that, right? And so you realize that you literally are not leaving Nigeria to go and take possession or take position in other country. You are leaving Nigeria to run away, right? And there's a difference. A people who are leaving their country to extend the frontiers of their country in another nation, their policy, their mannerism, their discipline is going to be different from someone who is running away. So when we go to school abroad, we are going to school to be legal resident. They go to school to become indispensable. Do you see that? So you see, they said we should write English. Everybody in Nigeria, why should Nigeria write English when our lingua franca is English, language test, to go abroad? Yet you will go to the US or Canada, you will see Indians who have passed the exam, yet they don't speak English. Question, how did they manage to pass English when they don't speak English? Then it tells you that there is a community act going on there. These guys are working together, and you cannot defeat a talent, cannot defeat a system. A system will defeat a talent hands down. As long as it's me, myself, and I, we are not going to go anywhere. The only tribe in Nigeria, for lack of a better word, that thinks us, unfortunately, is that tribe that doesn't like to travel. They are the Fulanis. They think 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead. They are not so many. They don't like to travel. They are comfortable to hold power. But if you look at the Yorubas, you look at the Igbos, when we make small money, what do? We throw parties. We have arrived. Even though we don't show up on Forbes list of the richest men in the world, but we throw parties. And because there's gross poverty, the person will not show you the way. He would expect you to come and worship him, so that he can become your new master and things like that. And we forget that a rich man in the midst of 6 poor guys is the 7th poor man in disguise. It's only a matter of time. So what we need to begin to do, we need to go back to our parenting template. Our parenting template is faulty. We need to change it, especially for those of us who are now ready to say, let us do something new. Maybe what helped me was the man who mentored me, taught me to share knowledge and to share power. There is hardly anyone around me who has gone through me who wouldn't know what I know, right? I will pour myself out I think some of them are on this call. They'll tell you. Most of the time when I teach courses in class, they will tell me, some people will call me and say, Praise, why are you sharing all these things? You should be able to make money 4 times from these people. And I'm like, who does that help? These are my people, right? So as long as we have the men, if I look at you as a mainstay, technically I don't collect money from family, right? If I look at you as a mainstay and I see what can improve you, and I cannot give it to you simply because you have not paid me money, then we are not brothers. So we don't understand the concept of brotherhood. Unfortunately, Africa has got an ideology called Ubuntu. Ubuntu means I am because you are. There is no you without me. Whatever I do against you, I do against myself. Unfortunately, we have it in words. We don't have it in technical terms and implementation terms. And once you cannot implement, once you are not used to systems, you can't produce anything. You're just going to be a noisemaker. So our people, I was talking to a group in Edmonton in Canada, right, during the family day in February. And I asked all of them what they knew about their mayor, the mayor of Edmonton. Some of them have been there for 20 years. They didn't know the story of their mayor. This story is on Google. So I share with them how their mayor came into Canada as a driver, right? Indian man came as a driver. He was driving Uber. Then after a while, went back to India, ran into trouble. They falsely accused him of an offense. Then he went to jail for 5 years. By the 5th year in jail, in prison, they now found out that, oh, it was wrongly accused. Then they released him. He came back to Canada, started driving a bus. From driving a bus, the Indian community pushed him into politics to just be serving them, to be following people there. He joined politics. Today is the mayor of Edmonton, is Indian, right? So you see our people in their bid to hustle and send money home and build a house and show that they have arrived, they do not pay attention to governance, to politics, to security, to military, the power blocks, because we don't understand these things. And if you look back home, you have already been totally oppressed. It's called learned helplessness. You are no longer used to asking questions. You can't question your teacher in the university. You can't question your lecturer, because lecturer will say, don't ask me questions, you will not pass. You can't question your religious leader, because the religious leader is God. So you can't question him. You can't question your parents, because your parents are the lion of the tribe of the home. So if you can't question, your capacity to ask questions is already gone. Now, if you can't ask questions, you can't innovate, because for you to innovate, you must question what is already existing, right? Now, if you have lived 25 years of your life not asking questions, by the time you migrate out of Nigeria to another place, your capacity to question the environment is already messed up. So you will just join the next group of people who will begin to also, what will be at the back of your mind is survival, not thriving, right? And that is what will occupy your time. So you will not think of, how do we take over here? How do we collaborate? What you'll be thinking about is, how do I buy the next car? How do I do this? How do I do that? And before you know it, then you will keep hiding from yourself, because you are not sure. We go and tell people, back home, how you are struggling. Who cares whether you are struggling or whether you are, Indians don't bother about that. And so we are self-centered in our operations. And that's why it would seem like, I've studied the Japanese system. Japan has 6 national values. It is taught from home. Every family knows what's the 6 things that make you a Japanese, right? If you gather 10 Nigerians, in fact, what am I saying? Gather all the governors of Nigeria, put them in a room, and ask them to mention the 6 values that make us Nigerian. They will write different things. I can bet they will write different things. They can't write the same thing. Now, if you put the Federal Executive Council together and say, who is a Nigerian? They will write these different things. So if the leadership cannot articulate, can Nigeria now exist outside there in the diaspora? So it's, can you guys hear me? It's looking like I can't see. Amenze, are you there?
Okay, I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, good. So if your leaders don't know where Nigerian is, you and I are talking, we don't know where Nigerian is. We say you are Yoruba, you don't know where Yoruba is, you don't know who an Igbo is. From a documented implementation system, then can we admit that maybe we don't actually exist? And now need to be is a sense of community, which we don't have. Let's not deceive ourselves, we don't have it. I look at the news from Nigeria and I want to cry sometimes. My friends here, they are saying, because anything happening in Nigeria trends in America, incidentally. It will be trending, and my friend would say to me that, what does it mean for somebody to use somebody for money ritual? They're asking me that question, and I can't answer the question. I mean, so they're asking me, how does it work? Is it possible that a human being can command money? Where is the money coming? I mean, those are the conversations they're asking me, you know. So it's what it is, right? Let's not fool ourselves. We maybe a few of us now need to begin to say, okay, let's build a village and begin to spread that village. And I think that's what I'm open to, you know, because my friend called me yesterday and said, oh, you know, let's do something for Nigeria. And I asked him, what is Nigeria? And that was where that conversation ended, right? And so if you cannot define who you are from an identity perspective, then how can you collaborate? Again, because if I'm working with the Japanese, I know what to expect. I've tried them. I've worked with them. If I'm working with the Chinese, I know what to expect. I mean, is it a coincidence that almost all the Fortune 500 companies have an Indian CEO? It's not built on, you know, it's built on competence. You know, my friend, one of my mentors went to India and he said to me, went for a meeting, and he realized that for you to become an equivalent of a permanent secretary in India, you have to graduate with a first class. Right? You can become any other thing, but to become a permanent secretary, it has to be first class. Now, so put our permanent secretary in Nigeria in the same room with permanent secretary from India. You know, what are they going to be talking about? So these are the critical issues that we need. They are foundational. And I think every parent listening to us on this dial, we cannot, if government cannot help you, you can help your family. Can we even admit there are things we don't know? Who knows it? Can we get the person who knows it to begin to teach all of us, and we all commit to it that we will master it? I think that's where we need to start from. As long as we don't start from there, every other effort will just be trying to produce a miracle, where a miracle is not going to happen.
My God, my God. Wow, this has been, you know, as usual, mind-blowing. Let me just quickly do a recap of some of the things that have been said today. Number one, the Indians have a national policy of fraternity, which means brotherhood. That means that when an Indian gets out of India, it is we above me. They think of all of us first. They are thinking about that. Secondly, which is quite important, you know, who is the Nigerian? Who is the Nigerian? A lot of, you know, I've struggled with that question for a long time. I still struggle with it because the question is, who is a Nigerian? What does it mean to be Nigerian? You know, and until we're able to define this, a lot of things won't work for us. Again, as was said, I mean, that one about the grandfather taking insurance, you know, I actually read about that somewhere. I think I also saw that, you know, somewhere, and it is the truth. It was even a Jew also, the same thing. You know, you take an insurance for 18 years, and by the time the child is 18, the person is buying a property. Like Reverend Nia-Boda used to tell us some time back. I'm sure he still does it. Is if a person at 18 has attained the legal right to vote, that means at 18 you are supposed to have attained the right to be a leader, to be a ruler, to be in control, to have dominion. But sadly, that is not the case we have in Nigeria. Also, like was mentioned earlier, you know, Ubuntu is key, but it's only in words. We don't practice it. We don't practice it. You know. And finally, I think that like you mentioned here, one very important is about the parenting template. The parenting template is key. We cannot find and it's the truth. If our parents didn't get it, we have no excuse now. There is so much information now for us to be able to get this thing right. Now, I just want to ask, so because I know this is your field, the parenting template. I know I've been seeing a lot of the adverts and all that, and also in line with even schools. You know, I see that you've put out there a lot of schools, you know, signing up to your programs, you know, saying that okay, they want to build a different template, build a different concept, but for some strange reason, you know, a lot of people don't seem to want to adopt it. And I mean, so I don't know if I know you have some coming up. I think I saw the ads, about 2 or 3 sessions are coming up. I don't know if you want to dwell a little bit on that, just to share with us some concepts from this parenting template, because really that's where everything starts. from the home. And if we can get the home right, we get the nation right.
So what I have realized is what other tribes and other groups who are working very well, what they've done was to set the template that will raise a child. So in the Jewish community, there's a template for raising a child. It's a 14-year curriculum. In the Indian community, they have something similar. Japanese have got it. In fact, their own educational system is built on it. Now, so you can, it's like garbage in, garbage out. That if I hand over a child to a terrorist, to ISIS, for 10 years, ISIS will never pray and kneel down and say, in the name of devil, may this child become a terrorist. They're not going to do that, right? Or they're not going to say, in the name of Jesus, let the child become a terrorist. No, there are experiences, situations, causes that they will expose the child to, that 10 years without fail is going to become a terrorist. He's going to kill himself. Suicide bombers. Now, what you have there is a system. Now, have you not asked yourself, what is that system that makes Nigerians come abroad and in less than 1 year, they are speaking American English? That's an example of a system, right? If you check, the Indians don't lose their accent. We are, in fact, one of the tests that you don't exist is your quickness in losing your accent, right? The speed at which you lose your accent is one of the tests that you don't exist, right? Or you are not comfortable in your existence. So you realize that is a function of our parenting is not documented to produce a predictable result. Simply because, one, we are ignorant. Two, we are not willing to learn. Even in our ignorance, we are very arrogant. Then three, our priorities are completely wrong. In fact, I was talking to someone yesterday and it was like, oh, Praise, what is the difference between working in America and working in Nigeria? And I said, the difference is maybe if I was doing brick and mortar, I'll be a billionaire in Nigeria because then I can buy houses, build houses. But intellectual property in Africa, you will struggle at some point because we're not people who prioritize paying for intellectual property. And that is why you say Lagos is a mega city. But the mega city looks like a shanty simply because intellectual property, human capital development was not prioritized. Of what essence is a mega city that is led by the motor park touts can shut down? I mean, that's how can motor park touts shut down Dallas or shut down Texas? How? Where will it happen? You know, so you can't say it's a mega city and people who don't go to school, you know, have more power. That's how you know that we do not pay attention to intellectual property, and that's why educational system has broken down. Now, people now need to, what I'm promoting now is for 10 families to, I mean, it took me a whole lot to do that research, come up with a template. I mean, I've seen families who have implemented that template. It's no exaggeration. I have seen transformations in their children, and we are monitoring these things. So it's not, I don't make noise, and I don't talk about what I don't know. I know this works, but it will change you. So a lot of parents are not willing to change because they have totally been scripted to self-sabotage. But if people begin to embrace it, what we now do is, so I'm working with a group of families for 1 year this year. What we are doing for them is to turn their families into tribes so that by next year, they can also begin to bring out new clans and replicate what I'm teaching them. So we're teaching them family governance. In fact, there's a family, they had to, by the time they produce their family governance system, they produce their own coat of arms, because research shows that all the ancient empire were actually people's families, right? Even the nation Israel was Jacob's more dysfunctional family. But see what somebody's family had become: a nation. Whatever you call your city, your village, it was somebody that started it. It was somebody that got there first. So we need to understand that your family is powerful enough if you take it as a nation. I can't stop Buhari from doing what Buhari can do, but what am I doing in my own family? What discussions am I having with my wife? What template are we following? In fact, about 7 years ago, I decided to adopt Japan as my new country. So I studied Japanese system, I studied their template, read up everything I could read, then built a template out of it. that I began to teach people. So what I say to people is this: parenting is an 18-year curriculum. Your child is going to be with you for 18 years. If you put that same child in the hand of the king of Dubai, it's going to become an Emirati after 18 years. If you put that child in Japan, it's going to have the 5 values of Japan. If you put him in India and he becomes an Indian, he's going to start relating with the Indian community. But who is that child going to become with you? If you can't even determine that, that's number one problem. Now, when you now determine who is going to become, what template must you embrace? Because every parent knows who they want their child to become, but they don't know who they need to become, because parenting will change you. So if you say your child is a royalty is what you want to raise. Royalty will mean that you can no longer shout, because you don't shout on royalties to correct them. You can no longer slap, because you don't slap royalties to correct them. You now need to find how royalties are corrected, how royalties are disciplined, which means that will change you. Your anger, your tantrums, it will change. But are you willing to change? That's where we start from. So many people are unwilling to change, yet they want to produce a better result. So, like I said at the meeting I went today, this is what we do. The outcome we want is Zobo drink. But this is what we do in Nigeria. We go to the mat, we put the pot on fire, we add palm oil, we add Maggi, tomato, and pepper. We add ugu leaves to it. Then we now hire prayer warriors and now add lots of prayers. And the prayer point is, God, may this become Zobo. That is the behavior we have embraced over time, right? That we overrate the capacity of prayer to deliver, to produce a human being. A prayer cannot produce a human. Well, let me not say that. Prayer, word of mouth prayer alone, cannot produce a behavior. You need thoughts, you need action. So thoughts are prayers, actions are prayers. That's why God says, these people come near with me with their mouth, but their heart is far away. So what he's saying is, for miracles to happen, there's got to be alignment of words, thought, and action. But Africans don't like to hear this one. When I say it, they will say praise. Maybe he doesn't pray. He does. And I ask them, it's very simple. Elon Musk does not pray. How come the guy his tax last year was $11 billion? And they're even saying he underpaid. How can one man pay $11 billion as tax? That's more than some states' internally generated revenue in Nigeria, more than like 10 states put together. Now, that is a human being who does not, everything they say we should do to prosper, he does not do them. Yet, he's number one. I mean, the guy came out and said he wants to buy Twitter. Can I go and say I want to buy Twitter? Am I going to take prayer there? Now, so we need to understand this thing is not to disparage prayers. I pray, but can we begin to admit that maybe what we are being taught is not even working at the level it should work, and now begin to say what exactly works? Because the capacity of a human being, what makes you a human being, is your ability to observe your environment, observe what is working, benchmark it against what is not working in you. Trash what is not working in you, embrace what is making it work behind for those people, and replicate results. That's why we say that repetition is mother of all skill. Nothing trumps the power of example. That's why in mathematics in school, before they teach you anything, they will use example. Example is to say, if you master this example, you can master the result. So power of example, unfortunately, the people we celebrate in Africa, their stories are always incomplete, right? So if you check their story, there are so many years missing that they can't account for. So if those years are missing, how do you replicate the result? The same thing when we do testimonies. Our testimonies are exaggerated or they are incomplete. The real thing we did that produced the result, we don't share it because it doesn't look supernatural. So we always think that supernatural means that God, no human being was involved. It's not true. Supernatural will still involve the human being, right? So if you tell us how you did it, we can replicate it. So we don't have parents who modeled, how to prosper to us. Then we don't have people ahead of us who model. So can we adopt people who have produced this result? I mean, my job, and I love it, is to observe what works, make it into a, if there's, I know how to build models, build a model out of it, replicate it, and ensure that and test it. That's what I've done over the years, and I know this works. So if every family begins to embrace what works, right, we'll adjust as we go. So imagine all of us here, we're 38, sometimes we are 45. If 45 of us take responsibility today to say within the next 1 year, we are going to sit down with what works and build a new village, right? That's where it starts from. And that whatever we say, we are all going to do. If we begin to do it, what happens next is we are the ones that will suffer. We will struggle to master it. But guess what? Our children will learn by observation. That's why nobody is teaching in India again. This is how to do it. The children are just learning by observation, assuming that that's how it works. For example, my son was not taught wash plate. No, my son assumes that everybody wash plate once they finish eating, because that was what he meant when he was born. My son assumes that every family, daddy and mommy cook, because that was what he meant when he was born. The first place he knew that in some families daddies don't cook was in school. Social studies textbook, primary 3, that the work of dad is to go to work and make money. The work of mom is to sit down at home and cook. Right? And he was shocked to say, what's the meaning of this? So you realize that we don't have too many examples, but we need to save ourselves. That's what I tell people. Don't wait on government. You see, next election, you can try, but they know who is going to become president among themselves, whichever way, right? But what you have control over is your family and your immediate friends. So if 10 of you come together to say we will invest together, we will learn what works, we will build. Let me tell you, it takes a village to raise a child. We are not talking about your village or where you came out from. If you send your child back to your village, your child will have tribal marks. It will be worse off because your village is worse off than what it used to be. The new village must now be what you can control. And there's a way to set up a village. You can name your village with 10 families, and every family can become clans within the village. You can create the village vision, the village values, and the village culture. Now, to create culture, there are 11 things you need to put in place. What is our belief? What is our model? What is our faith? What is our diet? All those things, you need to sit down and answer those questions. Once you build it, everybody aligns with it, and everybody begins to work it out. Now, people are the ones, first movers, who always create what is new, right? So what we need to do is to take responsibilities for what is new and even attempt to create it. Once we create it, then the younger generation will know, oh, wow, everybody in this community, wherever they go, they work together, they do things together, and that's how things evolve. Anything that is not within our control, forget it. The one we can control, can we do it and show that these things work? That's where I stop.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, for all those who are here, I want to believe that this is a lot to handle, as usual. I mean, if you've not listened to Praise Fowowe before, you would have some serious mental constipation today. You need a lot of help. But it's the truth, these are truths that we need to embrace. Prayer is awesome. I believe strongly in the power of prayer. I've prayed, I've seen God do mighty and great things. But the truth is that prayer alone does not change a child. Just because you dedicated your child on a mountain doesn't mean he's going to turn out good. No. Those things don't turn out. It's not by it. There are systems, there are knowledge, there are things, there are attitudes, belief systems that the child must adopt. And we also, as parents, creating this new system, we must be able to adapt. We must change. We can't continue using the same thing, running the same mindset, hoping that something different is going to happen is a total disaster. It cannot happen. I like that idea of the family creating a coat of arms, because that's just it. That's beautiful, So I can see some people are asking here, oh, when are the programs? Where's the programs? I know that if you check on Praise Fowowe's, if you check on his Instagram posts, I think you've posted some of them there. People can go and sign up. I would also have to repost some of them on my platform to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, because you see, people, we need to change. We can't continue like this. Sincerely, we can't. We have to evolve. We have to evolve. We really cannot continue the same. I've seen somebody asking a question there, saying, how do you deal with a teenager who likes to do assignments at the last minute, despite all you try to help?
That's a very simple answer. Your teenager is a creative convertible. There are 4 personalities that children come in. You have the intimidating Omar, That is the self-imposed class captain. That's the one who is going to argue with you everything you're trying to do. You have the creative convertible. If you have a child who is always looking for socks, looking for a shoe, who comes from school on Friday, you say, you do have homework? You say, I don't have. But by Monday begins to cry. Mrs. Lawal will be, why? I mean, you say my homework. But you say you don't have. That is the creative convertible. That's the child you're dealing with there. You know, they are usually, and if you check between you and your husband, one of you used to be like that when you were a kid. You know, so because the problem with creative convertible is that their learning style is play and fun. And that is not captured within the conventional educational system in Nigeria. You know, so there is likely going to be a victim of is unserious, is this, is that, and blah, blah, blah. So your child doesn't have any problem. You only need to now assist him to master by whipping play into those tasks, and you will be sure that he will improve and begin to do that.
Okay, right. I know PF has to go. He has we have about 9 minutes with him here. So I just want, I don't know, okay, I can't see any question from anybody. So I just want to ask PF, you know, parting shots. I know this one can take a while. But if you were in government today in Nigeria, what would you do? And you had the capacity and the power to execute.
The first thing is I won't even be in government to start with, because we always think that you need one person to solve the problem. You don't need one person to solve the problem. You need a new generation to solve the problem. And that's why Nigerians still believe in the savior syndrome, messiah syndrome. It beats my imagination, right? That one man will just come there, and who is that man going to work with? He's not going to work with the people in the National Assembly, those guys who are sleeping. Who is going governors? I mean, guys, when my brothers in the eastern part of Nigeria are saying that, oh, no, they have been marginalized. What about their governors? Their governor is collecting allocation. I mean, if I were the governor of, I mean, I think I would rather even want to be a local government chairman than become a president. Because if you are the governor of Abia State, I went to area market. That is China in there. What are you doing? Right? So people have been scripted to believe that their president is the problem. So I don't think being a president is what I want to do. I think let me even succeed as a husband, right? And as a father. That's more. I mean, I'll tell you, I won't have been this successful if I was in government, right? I have done much more than a lot of government officials. But I mean, there is no noise about it. So it's a noiseless revolution, and I'm loving that. Because while I was in Nigeria, I raised over 800 family life professionals, set up a family life industry that never existed before. You know, so those are things I look back to. Created the only certification program that exists in West Africa, you know, that now has been adjudged as the only certification program that combines therapy. I mean, if I was in government, I won't have the brain to. Every Nigerian problem I see is a raw material for innovation for me. So I am innovations driven, so that I will even be in government, count that out. However, I can raise people, maybe we'll go into government, I can provide that. And I think the first thing is, can we define what Nigeria is? I will be lying to myself to at my age to be telling people there's Nigeria there. I don't think so, right? I think we have nations. Then the country does not exist yet, because you can't have two laws within a country. You cannot have an educational system in a country and some people will score 2 over 100 and they will gain admission, and somebody else will score 55 and he will not gain admission. That's not a country. So to be lying to ourselves that we have a country where, can we sit down and negotiate the terms of staying together? That's what I believe. Now, if we now negotiate the terms of staying together, we will now create the Nigerian vision, create the Nigerian values, create the portrait of who a Nigerian is, which we call the DNA code in family systems or in parenting, which we teach people the portrait of who, that if you look at this person, you can say, oh, wow, this person is from a Menzies family, based on their mannerism and blah, 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 blah. Now, once we agree on that, we will now begin to create educational system, because for any country to have educational system, you must ask 2 questions. Who do we want our people to become? How do we want them to think? It's after answering those questions that you will now create. You don't just go and say British curriculum, American. That is another 419. There is nothing called British and American curriculum. What does that mean, really? What does it mean? But parents are ignorant, and schools are, everybody's just, it just makes me laugh. So until you begin. When we create that, if you are scoring 2 over 100, maybe your intelligence is not within the school system. And I think if I have that power, we will relegate religion to the barest minimum, right? And I mean, we will believe in religion, but we'll relegate religion because I think religion is one of the things that has held Africa bound. The way we practice religion, I mean, as it were, we will soft pedal on that. We'll promote science aggressively because science is what makes people think. If children cannot question their parents, then parenting has failed. If citizens cannot question their leaders have failed. If you are my leader, you have failed as a governor in the first 4 years, and we don't have the power to sack you, and we say that's democracy. That's not democracy. It's military rule disguised in civilian uniform, right? So these are our constitution. You don't even want to go there. So when you see the problem, and that's why you see that, it's almost as if there's a script to create problem every week. So this time last week, we were talking about the lady that died, the praise worship leader that died. In less than 1 week, Chrisland is what we are now talking about. In fact, Chrisland is going out of vogue now. There's another lady that says swindle people to be selling Gary. I don't know how human beings can do, I mean, invest 130 million to sell. What is the total worth of the Gary that Nigerians are drinking? I was just laughing, looking at this thing. What's going on? So we are forgotten. So we cannot pursue any. It's almost as if the people creating the problem, they are on steroids, producing the problem. As you are trying to do, they are producing the problem. So what you need to, don't be distracted. All these things are distractions. You need to keep your eyes on the ball. And your eyes on the ball is your family and your immediate constituency. Create a new village. Look for 10 of your friends that you seem to understand each other. Come together and say, can we create a new world for ourselves within Nigeria? Be in Nigeria, but not be of Nigeria. Till if we all begin to do that, we will raise an intelligent society. It will take time. But we raise an intelligent society and say, can we capture a local government? Or can we even go and set up maybe our own, what looks like redemption camp, and begin to agitate for our local government, right? And show how things work. Then our children will intermarry. They will travel abroad, but they will already learn how to do things together, how to pray together, where I becomes us or we. When nobody, it's almost a crime for you to say, I, no. To pray, I will be prosperous. No, it must be, we will be prosperous. So once we begin to do all this, see, when we don't put the fundamentals in place, except maybe they now want to make me a benevolent dictator. If that is what is they want to make me into, maybe I might consider, but trust me, what we have right now, and I mean, when I was younger, I met my mother praying. My mother is going to be 80 this year. She was praying, God, give us leaders after your heart. Give us leaders. I'm now 43, going to 44. You know, God is not sleeping. Nations have left Nigeria behind, you know, but Nigeria, the people are not bad. The people just need leadership, you know, that can produce a predictable outcome. But if the leadership does not exist in governance, it exists amidst us. Can we take responsibility for our families? I think that's what we need to do. Because the people we say are bad leadership today, they're also products of our family. So can we attack the system that is producing them? If we block it from that place, then everybody coming out of our family will be saying people really love people. Then we can actually have a wholesale change.
Wow. Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, if you did not get anything from this session today, chat me up personally. I will refund your data to you. Look, I know PF has to go now. Thank you so much, PF, for being here. But the summary is this. Script your family. Get the script. You determine what you want. It's all about the family system. It's all about the family system. If you can get it right at that level, I mean, there are so many programs. Just go to Praise Fowowe's profile on Instagram here. Check his programs. He has posted some of all these things. If you own a school, I want to beg you, please contact Praise Fowowe, contact their team. There's a school in Lagos, there's a school in Songwater that has adopted one of their programs, and that's it's phenomenal.
Yeah, let me even
Totally
say this.
phenomenal.
Let me also say that part of what we're also doing is to now support parents to take responsibility for their children. So we have what we call Ready for Life. Ready for Life is an entire curriculum from age 8 to age 18, 3 semesters in a year. Some parents have subscribed to it. If you have a child, from 8 to 18, whether in diaspora or within Nigeria, we're building a new community for those children. And the curriculums were intentionally done to produce a predictable end. So parents can also subscribe to that in case. But I think everybody should do the parenting session, or go to your child's school and insist that they should ask us for Ready for Life. We can license it to them. Yeah. Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, PF has to go now. I know it has been worth the time. He has another event coming up. Thank you so very much, PF. Thank you for all the times where I chat you up and you respond back. I know you are busy. But I really appreciate it. I'm telling you, man, those times where I just say, hello, sir, this thing is bothering my brain. And then, you respond, we chat. Thank you so much for those times. This is mind blowing as usual. I want to believe that the people in the diaspora community, they have learned something. So this video is going to be on my profile. I'm not deleting it. It's going to come back, check it, read it, learn it. You have to change. Today we are talking Asians. We must talk about Nigerians tomorrow, and it has to be you. It has to be your community. It has to be your family. Thank you so much, PF. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. We'll have to cut this now. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, sir. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Like I said, this video is going to be on. It's going to be on my profile. I want to believe you have learned something totally phenomenal. Please go to Praise Fowowe's profile. Check for all the programs. If you're in Nigeria, if you're outside, there is something he has. If you have a school, please tell the school to get across to PF and his team. They must script the students appropriately. We cannot afford to have Nigerians just doing anyhow. It's enough. We must take over. We are designed for dominion, but if we don't learn these things, it will just pass us by. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Let me just play this. I hope you can hear it. It's just the beginning part. All right. Thank you so much. Nice having you here. All right, now. Woo. All right, thank you so much. I'll have to dial out now. Thank you for joining. I want to believe it was value for your time. Please remember, script your family. Prayers are good, but prayer enough to not get this work done, Nigerians. You must have thoughts and actions. You can learn about this. Please go to Praise Fowowe's platform. All the information you need is there. You can chat me up later too. Thank you so much. It's been nice having you here. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. I love you so much. Remember, it's we above me. We above me. You must have that mindset. Thank you so much.